Welcome to the video on building your internship game plan. First things first, what do you want out of your recruitment experience? Make sure when you're listing this to be specific, and I mean very, very specific. When we talk about being specific here, ideally you have an exact internship in mind, one that actually exists and perhaps is now live on one of your favorite company's websites or being recruited for at your school. Ideally, also, this internship would lead into a full-time role that you're excited about. At the very least, you'll need to know the role, the industry, and the location that you're targeting. It's even better if you can pull 3 to 5 job descriptions that you would absolutely love to do. If you can, open them up, save them in a folder somewhere. We'll need them later. When deciding on a game plan for your internship recruitment, remember that a realistic target will get you far better chances of achieving your goal. In fact, of the students that we work with, over 70% of those who were struggling to find an internship were in a difficult position because they did not choose a realistic strategy. In the end, they were left after all of the formal recruitment scrambling to get a proper internship role. Now, we'd really like you to be in a strong position when you're recruiting for an internship so that you can get the one that you'd like and ideally have that lead into a job that you're really interested in. So, what is realistic? If you've got those sample internship descriptions handy, hold them out and read through the requirements. If you've got about 80% of those requirements completely handled already, that's realistic. And when we look at those requirements, I'm thinking mostly about the past roles that you've done prior to studying, or if some of the requirements can be completely filled during your first year of studies, that should be fine too. Another way to discover the same thing is to find people who are already doing that job, meaning the entry-level role after an internship, that you like. Now, LinkedIn is a great tool for this. So have a look at the work history of that person who's doing your ideal job and try to figure out if you can match that up to an internship, right? So that way you're sort of saying that the internship that you're aiming for is a direct lead into the job that you want. Finally, you can look at that job description that you like and the work experience that you already have, and just assess whether those things match up. The internship is a stepping stone between your past experience and your ideal job, so it's great for you to map out what that step looks like. A good rule of thumb on realistic is that you should change only one, or at a stretch, 2 of the 3 characteristics of a job: the industry that you're working in, the role that you're working in, or the location that you're working in. Now, this rule of thumb applies to internships as well. It's easiest to start with location. Have a look at the locations you've worked in the past, and then compare those to the location where you'd like to work. Do the same for your industry and role. Switching all 3 of these simultaneously is often unrealistic because you'll need to bring transferable skills to your new role. Now, transferable skills come in the form of either industry knowledge, role experience, or familiarity with a specific market in that location. Make sure you're only changing 1 or at most 2 of these when you're targeting your internship, so that the third is actually strong experience that you're bringing to the role and to your new company. That said, make sure you can also answer the question of what is it that you bring to this role. Your answer needs to be just as specific as what you'd like to get out of it, and it needs to be something that a recruiter wants. We'll cover that in more detail in a future video on positioning your candidacy. To understand what makes a good recruitment game plan, let's apply a useful mental model, the sales funnel. In a way, you're selling your own candidacy, as in your ability to do a job well, to the recruiters and hiring managers that you'll be speaking to. Just like any experienced salesperson, you'll need to keep track of your leads. This means there'll be quite a lot of internships that you're interested in. However, you'll need to choose which to apply for. Each application, even to a summer internship, takes time and effort, so you'll need to have some strict criteria to decide which roles you want to submit applications to. Next, you'll submit an application. This typically consists of a CV, or a resume if you're in the US, and a cover letter. Sometimes they also ask for extra information, such as a portfolio or a link to your LinkedIn profile. This is also the stage where any internal referrals are the most helpful, and I'll explain why in a minute. Next, you'll do interviews. In many internship processes, recruiters will do the first interview by phone. This type of interview is usually to determine your general fit with the role and the company. They're trying to see if you'll last after the internship. The second and third interviews will likely be done with a mix of recruiters and future managers, or sometimes past interns at the firm. These will test your technical skills and your fit with the team. The final interview will usually be with a hiring manager, although this does vary by company. Particularly if you're going for a leadership or a rotational program, that final interview may still be done with someone from HR. That interview will test your skills, including any special skills that might be unique to your candidacy, but not necessarily asked for in the job description. It's a great place to highlight how you're unique. Okay, this can all feel overwhelming, but don't stress. It's great that you're developing a game plan now so that you can move forward with the recruitment process in a strategic manner. And we're here to help. You may have noticed that our steps to getting an internship match up perfectly with the stages inside of your internship funnel. We'll have the tools and resources to help you at every step. Now that you know about the recruitment funnel, let's talk about the key to success in recruiting. Many students think that recruitment is like a gamble. You submit your CV to an online portal and then wait to be chosen. But we all know that hunting for an internship is not all about luck. There's quite a lot of skill involved. So, what's the key to developing your recruitment skills? Flip your perspective. Your recruiter is also working on a sales funnel. Let's flip the perspective to have a look at what the candidate funnel looks like from a recruiter's perspective. If you're recruiting for an internship, the first person to read your application materials will likely be a robot. These are called ATS, or application tracking systems. Once your materials pass the ATS robots, they'll be quickly screened by a human who is assigned to give you a call. The person who invites you to the initial phone screen will be the recruiter assigned to this specific role. Now, remember that some recruiters are assigned to entire internship or leadership rotational programs, so they might have a lot of candidates to call. Recruiters don't usually have a quota for how many candidates they pass, so at this stage, it's more of a pass-fail. The recruiter who phoned you for your first interview will then arrange for you to meet the appropriate internal managers for following interviews. Intermediate interviews might have an internal quota. For example, they could pass 5 out of 10 to the final round. However, the company's perspective absolutely changes in the final round. They have a single role or a set of roles to fill. There's a quota. In this round, you need to do more than pass. You need to be the best candidate of the group. Remember that recruiters can often receive hundreds of applications for a single role. For example, when we recruit MBA interns at Prodigy Finance, we often receive over 200 applications from qualified MBAs per role. That means that you'll need to have something very special to offer to each role you apply to. Let's start to uncover what you'll need to do in order to find a role that fits. Before you jump into applying for internships, it's important to know exactly what sort of internship you want. In the beginning of this presentation, we asked you to define the role, industry, and location. Some of you might have got very specific and chosen a specific company or a real-life role. Kudos if you've done that. Let's take a moment to dig into why you chose those things. You'll likely have a set of selection criteria against which you'll judge all of the roles that come your way. Selection criteria are specific to each person. Only you can say which of these might be important to you and why. I'd encourage you to take a moment to download the worksheet for building your internship game plan that accompanies this video and adding your own selection criteria. Make sure that these criteria match up to the full-time role that you'd like after graduation. After all, the internship is a stepping stone to get you to that role, and we want to get you as close as possible. After you've added these criteria, you may want to weight each one. Some of these will be must-haves, while others will be nice-to-haves. You could use number weightings or a scale like high, medium, and low. Now that you know exactly which types of internships you're looking for and what the process is going to look like, we're ready to get started. We'd recommend that you download the worksheet for building your internship game plan and take at least an hour of quiet time to think through the answers to each of these questions. It'll help you stay laser focused during the search. After all, you only have a set amount of time to apply for internships, and we want to make sure that you're prioritizing those that are the absolute best fit for you. When you're finished, head over to the next video on developing the profile for the internship that you want. We're excited to get started.